welcome back to the Kentwood Project. We are still here making some good progress on this house. Most recently, we got done sanding and re-polishing, that's the appropriate word?
Polyurethane.
Polyurethaning, that's the word, the floors. So we're pretty stoked to have you guys check out the time lapse on that. Do you have anything else you would like to share about our floors?
No, you hogged the entire intro. Enjoy the time lapse.
And the journey begins.
Kicking it off with prep, floor prep.
Yes.
Cleaning.
Every step in the long-term project has prep.
It always starts with cleaning.
Yeah.
But this one is taking up all of our protective floor coverings we had done originally. And then you go around and pull out any staples that are still lingering from the carpet.
I mean, you're getting a little ahead of us, right? Here, we first had to like pick up all the things that were on top of our floor covering.
Oh, I did jump the gun a little bit.
And then pull up the floor covering, which, as you remember, we had down paper and plastic to protect against paint and a lot more of the wet construction that we'd had going on before.
And it did a good job. There wasn't any extra dark spots from at least us.
Yeah, no, I thought it did work well. So yes, pulling it all up and then giving everything a good brushing and vacuuming. Because
coming up, we'll be doing the sanding with the drum sander, and you don't want any junk on your floor with that drum sander because it could tear up your...
Grind it in. Could.
Yeah, it could cause more gouges in your floor. It could beat up your sander.
Yeah.
And then this is where you are going through now. I'm not going to go this time. And you're pulling up any staples that are remaining from the carpet that used to be there.
Pulling up and or hammering in.
Yes. If you can't get them out, push them down further so you don't hit it with the sander. Because when you hit it with the sander, you know.
Yeah, no, that one is definitely, the sander will sometimes give off a little spark, so.
Yeah, you'll realize, oh my gosh, there's a nail there as it shot sparks out.
And here we go. Which sanding, as you saw in our first floor redo video, is pretty instant gratification of where you have been and what to expect. But it's always exciting to, see that top layer come off and the floor that's beneath it.
And those really dark spots really thinned out and faded out really well after a couple sweeps over them. Like here you can tell, like there's some pretty bad spots. This is the worst room.
This is the worst, yes.
And it really took off the majority of the gunk.
Yeah.
There's still a few that are showing up through the sanding, but gosh, way better than before.
True, true. So, and just a recap in case you missed our first floor sanding video, which if you did, you should go back and check it out. But the floor sander is a little bit more of a machine to control than you would maybe think. Like that guy kind of takes off and you have to pull back against it as well as guide it because it doesn't just go in a straight line on its own.
True, and when we're doing the edges, we actually got a special edge sander here, which to start with, we just thought we could slap on the 36 grit sandpaper on the edge sander and go after it. But we learned a few things.
Yes, we learned a lot about the edge sander is its own unique animal.
Yes, it needs to be at the right angle, which apparently you can adjust the wheels on it up and down to change your angle.
And that's very important.
It is very important, otherwise you waste a lot of sandpaper like I'm doing right now. I think I went through like...
You went through like 6 or 7
discs.
Literally
this one area.
Not even half a room.
So yeah, that was my bad. I should have probably researched a little bit on how to use the sucker before I just went after it.
But don't worry, I came in to save the day here in a bit. So while John was doing the edge sanding in this room, I was over in another room doing the drum sander. And then, as you'll see in a little bit too, my dad came to help us for this weekend. And so he was on, I think at this point, still hammering some nails into the floor. So we all had specific duties.
And here's you actually telling me I need to adjust my sander.
Yes.
And also what we found out too is you can make
and then look how good it went.
Make your sander work even better and the paper last even longer by using a scraper.
Yes.
So that's also something we kind of learned while doing this first room, is because that first layer of old polyurethane that's on this floor really gunks up paper quickly.
Yes.
And so we took a little time out and went out and bought a scraper.
So here, yes, we are actually back. John, that's me. No, that's you. It had been me a minute ago.
And so the scraper we use is actually one we got from Home Depot, which is like this guy here.
Yes, which was not our hoped for scraper, but it worked for in the moment.
Yes. What you really should buy, which all these links will be in the description, is one of these bad boys here. This is a two-handed floor scraper.
Yeah.
And it's the same price as the one you get from Home Depot.
Which is ridiculous, because the one from Home Depot.
It wasn't the best.
But it got us through.
It got us through, and it saved us a whole bunch of sandpaper.
Yes.
Because it got off that thick layer of polyurethane that kept gumming up the sandpaper and turning into like a little like goo layer that would sludge over the floor.
It was weird, because it would like melt it, but then it would smear it, and then it would become hard. So it wasn't like sticky, it was a hard substance that it was dumb and very frustrating.
And what I would recommend is just start with the scraper from the very beginning.
Yeah, but get the good one.
And get the good scraper, plan ahead, don't do like we did and just like find the scraper as quick as possible because you're halfway through the job.
Yes, you know, but hey, you live and you learn, and
for next time, we'll have a real scraper. But yes.
Also in our floor refinishing journeys, there's a fair amount of kind of keeping up with the equipment, making sure that your sandpaper isn't running out, as well as clearing away any large dust piles that accumulate from your scraping and sanding.
I thought this hand sander here was the most difficult thing to control.
Oh, yeah, so funny story. When we started out, we just used the drum sander, and it surprised me with how much involvement there was for controlling it. And you're like, oh man, the drum sander. Then you got to using the edge sander, and you were like, oh my gosh, the edge sander, because it really wanted to like take you for a ride.
Yeah, and that sucker has no safety on it, so like if you have a thing turned on and you let go of it, it's just gonna run away.
And it just spins. Yeah, it does not go in a straight line at all.
And it's torquey.
Yeah.
It was
there were multiple times your arm was just like, oh, we're going that way.
Yeah, I did it from a kneeled position, and like my core was sore from keeping my core engaged.
Yes.
Because it kept wanting to twist my entire body around.
And that's another thing. Once again, another equipment in housing and remodels that is just an uncomfortable, like it's really hard to find a good position to be in. So as you can see, I kind of adapted this split lunge, not squatting, but a split lunge position, and that seemed to be the most comfortable for me. But you really do just kind of have to play around and find what's going to be the most comfortable it can.
Mm-hmm. It's not going to be comfortable. It's just going to be a little bit less uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there we go. Split position. That was my favorite. It worked well.
Oh yeah, that lunge.
This was a day full of sanding.
Yeah, it was a long day.
But we were so thankful to have Dad there to help, because we definitely wouldn't have gotten as far as we did on that Saturday, because it was all three of us working. Gosh,
it was a full day.
Yeah,
we worked
and
from
all three of us.
9 to 4.
Yeah, you guys did. I left a little early.
Yeah,
but
it was worth it. It looked really good after that.
It looked so good.
The first run was with that 26 grit sandpaper.
Yep. Oh yeah. Then this is on Sunday.
Oh,
and our friend Chris came to visit.
Interrupting us, making us dance.
But we had to move so slow for that to look at that speed. Like, we were moving very, very slow.
He was very startling too when he came in.
Yes, he may have scared us quite a lot. We both thought, because we both had on our masks and our headphones, and you're running the sanders, and then we both thought the other person said something, and then when we looked over at each other, we could tell the other person looked confused, so then it was like, where did that sound come from?
And it was a stranger called Chris busted into our house.
True. We learned the lesson, maybe we should lock the door.
I'd lock the door for that.
Since clearly we can't hear anything while we're doing this.
But now after Chris left, we're going back through and hitting all the floors again with the 60 grit, which is the final grit we use for the sanding. And you actually can tell if you look at the floor, the sun kind of reflects off that a little bit more than the 26 grit we did first.
So I think it's interesting to note, it's probably easier to tell on this video, like running the second pass wasn't nearly as
visually different.
Yeah, for us firsthand. But yeah, looking at it on the video, you can tell where we were going.
And you can sure tell when you touch the floor. When you touch the floor the first time, it's very rigid, like ribbed.
Oh, okay.
Not rigid, ribbed.
I was like, hopefully it's still rigid no matter what. It didn't become soft flooring.
But then, nice and smooth.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely took out any last little bumps and imperfections.
But it wasn't nearly as fun as the first pass.
No, the first pass is always the best because it's like all the nasty other floors taken away.
Yeah, this is on the second day of sanding where we did our final coat of sanding on it, and it's like necessary to do, but then this is like, it wasn't gratifying at all.
No, that's a lie. I still think it was gratifying. The floors looked so good.
They looked really good afterwards, for sure, but it wasn't nearly as fun as watching the old nasties get scraped away.
True. Although there still was enough.
There was a few areas
that it was like, we're doing something.
Change is still happening.
Oh, so then in between taking some sanding breaks because, like I said before, your body just got kind of tired of bending over. So we're taking off the plastic that we'd had on our cabinets so that, one, because when we were gonna do the polyurethane, we needed to have that plastic off so that nothing would fall onto the polyurethane.
Yeah. Because after we finish sanding, we're gonna do the polyurethaning. But for that, you have to have everything super clean. So anything that might drop nasties on your floor has to be cleaned up.
Yes. So yeah, some more sanding.
Look at that
final
lunge.
Sanding.
Such a good lunge.
It saved my back. It really did.
I still hurt. I hurt for a couple of days after
Just watching
doing this.
it reminds you and your back's hurting again.
It reminded me how much my body ached after doing all this sanding.
It is like that, especially that one, like it really did just want to run away with you. And so you had to work hard to keep it from sanding you around the house.
I didn't like doing the closets. I don't like doing the closets at all.
Yeah. Oh, really quick, one last thing about the edge sander was, unlike the drum sander where you have to go with the grain of the wood, the edge sander, you actually could go in any direction. But we wanted to go perpendicular and then parallel, or vice versa. It didn't matter near as much, whereas the drum sander, you had to go with the wood.
True. And then this is where we're talking about the cleaning process before we did our polyurethaning. We vacuumed everything multiple times. We used Swiffers, the dry Swiffer. To dust it again after vacuuming.
Multiple vacuumings.
Because you want this sucker clean, because if there's any dust on it, it's gonna become part of your floor.
Yeah.
And we even wore little booties.
We did, yes.
Because we were serious about keeping it clean. And because I bought a lot of them off Amazon, so we have plenty of them to use.
We have lots of booties, yes. And now we're mixing up our polyurethane.
And this is just...
And application time. Yeah. So we have a little mop, basically a polyurethane mop. You just dunk it in, super easy, dunk it in, smear it around. You don't want it too thick, but you want to make sure it looks like it's covered. And
you go with the grain.
With the grain, true.
Do not go against the grain.
Yeah,
go with
as
the grain.
Most things, really. It's a pretty good rule of thumb to go with the grain on wood, even if you don't think you need to.
Yeah. And the first coat of this was also very fun to watch.
It was, although I will admit that I was a little bummed it was as dark as it was. I had hoped, because this is just for everyone's knowledge, this is a clear polyurethane. It has no tint or anything, and yet it does darken your wood, as you can see, quite substantially.
And that's because of the type of wood we have. So I think all of our floor is, I think, red oak. I think is the actual type of wood it is.
I was very off in my head. I was thinking a very different kind of wood.
Whenever you seal it, oak turns amber.
Oh.
And I think the Minmax sealant we're using on it, it says, on the website, it said it was clear.
Yeah.
But it also said that it brings out the amber glow of your wood.
Oh. So
I'm not sure what that means.
Supposedly a selling point for them. Yeah, I was hoping for a little lighter wood, but I will say it grew on me after we got it all done. I mean, obviously we were still really excited with the floors versus where they'd started. So.
And here I come back with some sandpaper to scuff it all up for the second coat of the polyurethane that we put on it. And sadly, this is me by myself for this day. But the second coat went way faster than the first one, because that first coat, it really wanted to soak in as you were doing it, so you kind of had to thicken it up and reapply it back and forth. But on the second coat, it just kind of glided right back on. I mean, it wasn't nearly as much scrubbing and rubbing to get it.
That and to say that notoriously, I'm known for being slower, and I did the first round. So that may have also been part of it.
You're meticulous, you're not slower.
I am very meticulous, that is true. So yeah, here's that second coat.
And I put a pretty thick second coat on there too.
Mm-hmm.
But even with a thick second coat, it still used less polyurethane than that first coat.
Oh, that makes sense. It probably doesn't absorb near as much.
Not much left to absorb.
I don't know if we anticipated to use the first full drum on our first round, but we ended up having to crack open the second one.
In total, it took almost exactly 5 gallons of polyurethane to do the probably 1,000 square feet.
Okay, good to know.
In case anyone was curious, but yes.
So yeah, this is our floor.
I'm glad it's done. It looks beautiful.
He's done.
We did it!
We finished the floor!
We finished all the floors!
A big shout out to my dad coming over to help, because otherwise I don't think we would have gotten them done in the time frame we expected.
True. It was like a perfect 3-person job. We take into account someone on the stand-up sander, someone on the hand sander, and someone with a scraper scraping the corners. It was like perfect.
Yep, it worked out well. And we're really excited with the way they turned out.
We are. I think they're, satisfactory.
Feel free to leave us any questions or comments down below.
Yes. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. If you're going to be mean and say mean things, please tell us why. I forgot to tell you this.
Oh.
We are officially YouTubers because we had our first random troll comment on our video.
Ooh.
I had to delete the comments though because they were full of profanity.
Oh. Did they even have anything to do with housing?
No.
Yeah.
They said, I hope this female dog has my money. Where's my money?
Oh, yes. So.
But then he replied 5 minutes later with a follow-up comment to say, hey, that female dog, she better be getting back in that kitchen.
That's very interesting.
We have a troll.
Well, there you go. Woohoo, YouTube.
And thank you for leaving that comment.
Well, not you, because we know you guys are cool.
True.
Anyway, well, I guess that's a wrap.
Ta-da!